Hello, I would like to introduce myself as Modna Kudu Chinnaswamy. I hailing from Karnataka. Modna Kudu is my pen name. It's a village near Chamarajanagar of Mysore, earlier in Mysore district. I am considered basically a poet. I also write some prose as well. I have written stories, short stories, and in many other genres also, like plays. But basically, my passion is poetry. And to be more specific, you know, the 1970s and 80s have heralded protest poetry in Kannada, like Dalit and Bandaya. So I belong to one. I am from a marginalized Dalit family, and which is, of course, the experience is pain and penury, the insult and the injury. All my poetry speak of that very intensely. They are very popular in Kannada, and they have been translated to many Indian languages and English as well. More importantly, and it has gone to Spanish in the book form, translated by a Venezuelan poet by name Rowena Hill. She also translated it to English. You know, these were the voice of the unheard. So they became important. They started hearing. I have attended many international poetry festivals also. The poetry was moving, and there were many listeners to get astonished and to get a shock that is there such an experience in the Indian context? Is there such a marginalization like caste system, untouchability? All these things are not known to the Western society or the outside Asian countries. So, and it was imminent, it was important to bring out these experiences. I think late 70s and 80s have heralded some very good poets from the downtrodden and neglected class in almost all the languages, not only in Kannada. I think Marathi, it is influenced by Dalit Panthers, all other languages. Dalit Panther was influenced by the Black Panthers, as you know, from America. So this protest poetry started, rather protest movement started throughout India in all the languages. And you know, the reason behind this, the force behind this, naturally Baba Saheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who struggle and fight for the people who are neglected, who are marginalized, who are victimized. So based on those points, many writers have written very good, they have been considered. In fact, in Marathi, autobiographies have become very prominent genre of literature. There are many. One such writer is here, Sharan Kumar Limbale. His Outcast is a very famous book. And in Kannada also we have our, besides myself and Devanur Mahadeva, Siddhilingaya, they are writing a good part of this work. And I think even for the mainstream writers, these works have been influential, because the writer's concern is for the have-nots and for the underprivileged, and where the prejudices are there, he wants to remove it. So all that altruistic things, you know, they can pick up from these people. I think the poetry doesn't gets its birth from the richest point. from richness. It's from the somewhere it is where there is a pain and where there is poverty, and that is the case. So my poetry has been, my writing have been by and large in that context. I have written even in general poems also. So see, it is as I have said, the movement and the literature, they are both supplementary and complementary to each other. Whether movement is first or the literature is first, we can't say. The literature influences the movement, and movement influences the literature. So it has happened in all the languages. Even in Kannada, there was a good movement, Kannada Dalita Chaluvali they call, Dalit movement. And it has given a good lot of to writers. Writers also, they also depend on writers for carrying it on further. So it has reflected in the form of politics also. In some states they have come to power. In some states there is a considerable force, influence of that section to capture the power. It cannot be neglected. It's there. That contribution of this literature and movement is there in everywhere. In politics, in economics, in social movements, all that. Yeah. Certainly there is influence. Certainly there is change in the society, but not to the extent we expect. Because, I call it as a social ignorance. People are not properly taught about when they should be taught. They should be taught in the middle schools, primary schools. See, we have been hearing since morning. There was a session here where one did speak about Hinduism and proud of being that and things like that. But people, the new generation doesn't know what is caste system. Day in and day out, they are living in the caste system only. They do not cross the boundaries or the rules of the caste system. Whether it is rich man's house or a poor man's house versus a Brahmin's house or a Dalit house. These rules are terribly being followed. But they are not being taught in the schools. And in villages even now, the Dalit boys, children are asked to sit separately in some schools. I don't say there is no change. There is a change in urban areas, and there may be mixing of students. Everything is there. The midday meals. Last week's news, it's not a new thing. In Simla, in one of the schools, the upper caste boys, small children, refuse to sit along with Dalit boys. Means what? What are we doing? What are we doing by telling that we should be proud Hindus? Teach your children, first of all, there shouldn't be any discrimination between castes, and they are human beings. And after all, among children, call them like gods. And the children mind itself corrupted at that level, that he thinks that I am an upper caste man, I should not take, the water is kept separately. We see these stories in Ambedkar's biography, but even today it is there. Where is this change? According to me, absolutely there is no change from some point of view. But there is lot of change in somewhere, urbanized, globalized class, there is some cosmopolitan culture also, I don't deny it. Those people who know about this system. Have you ever seen, except in asking vote for votes, nowhere they talk about caste. When they want the vote bank, they will talk about, yes, so and so is standing, you have to vote. What about the caste has to be taught, and it is very obnoxious, it's very condemnable. It should not be practiced. That should be told to the children. Then only some change could be expected. See, you have seen in the papers, in Punjab, advanced states like leave apart the Bihar, when intercaste marriage takes place, they kill the parents. There are Kaf panchayats. What is this? Where are we living? In which generations we are? So, who are to answer all this? Those who have that pain, those who are insulted through that. So, Yeah, the general, the mainstream has to look at this literature. Unfortunately, they don't. It's very, very difficult. I would say my effort to come to this level is 100 times more than a general fellow, because he would have been picked up by somebody somewhere and his man within quotes. So I have nobody, I have no hereditary, nobody in the media, nobody. Fortunately, you have called me here, and to get it published is very difficult. There are some people now coming up. You know, my English poems have been translated 10 years back. I am still waiting for somebody to come and pick it up. You know, the Spanish people have taken it up, because I went to Venezuela. I have been invited in the Andes University, and on hearing my poetry, you know, someone was moved. It was a government publication. He said, "I'm going to publish your poems." It has been in the book form. I'm the first poet to go to Spanish from Canada in a book form. So, though it is, the poetry is worth, it has a metal, it's moving, but where are the takers? So the consideration here in India is something else other than the quality. You can say that. My experience is, you have to force on somebody, then they'll definitely like it. I think many of my poems have been in the textbooks of Kannada, right from 8th standard to MA and in various universities. Those who have studied in the classroom, you know, they come, their parents come and talk to me, and they hug me. So, because they are made to read it. On their own, they don't read it. But Dalits themselves, they will go in search of that and read it. See, this is the difference of caste. This is where the caste system works. Poetry per se should be liked, right? Then the quality you should take, whether it is with forgetting Dalit or women or Muslim writing about it. No, poetry is a poetry. It has its own ingredients, it has its own metaphors. That is see, my contention is that, see, apartheid could be removed, but untouchability cannot be removed, or caste system cannot be removed, you can say. Why apartheid could be removed? See, there is an identity for a black. On his very coming, you can say that he is a black. Yes, you have a position, you have your own impression of a person. But in India, I am not ethnically different. I am like you, you know. So, but somewhere my ancestral caste, something I have not requisitioned for to be born here. But you will invite me, you give a smile, and in the course of a conversation, somewhere you will definitely have a curiosity to know my caste. The moment it is revealed, your attitude gets changed. Just observe. Anybody in a common platform. This is the peculiarity of India. If the attitude is not changed, I have no problem. There the insult, you know, added to the injury. I have an injury. If I am known, can be identified as an untouchable, I have no problem. Yes, whatever I have my position, you have your position. But where it affects me is where we are common, you know, equally considered, and we are dealing with properly, smiling each other, holding on together. But the moment you are knowing that I am so and so, you flinch back. So then I get hurt. That is the insult which should not, it's not anywhere in the world, because black is a black and he gets revealed physically. So this problem is more psychological, I say. I have written about it. See, the state should mind it. The government will have the capacity to do that. As I told you, the very early age, the children should be taught what is good and what is bad. You know, the social intercourse, social movement between people and people. So that should be taught to the children. Then they would not ask at the age of 20, 22, when they go to the engineering or medical college, why they should get the reservation, why I am not getting it. This confusion shouldn't come to them at the age of 22, 23. They should be taught that they are underprivileged for centuries, and there is no hereditary of excellence in them, and there is no level playing field. They should be brought on the fore. So all these things should be taught at the very, very young age. Definitely.